Welcome to the Paths We Take podcast. I'm your host, Jordan DeSange. Let's hit a path. All right, you guys, HYROX is one of my favorite sunglasses brands here in Australia. They sell performance-driven sunglasses that look good, that are super crystal clear, but also have some amazing quality to them as well. It is another Australian-based brand. They are based out of Sydney, and they just sell some great looking sunglasses that can be worn for running, cycling, just walking, whatever it might be. They have something for everybody. Recently, they have just launched a brand new colorway through all of their sunglasses out there on the market. So you can get gold ones, you can get blue ones, they have pink ones. I literally have 3 or 4 different colors now. And I have not been wearing anything else for my runs. What I love about the HYROX Sunnies is that they adapt to the changes in light that you go through while you're running. So when you're running, it's so annoying needing to always take off your sunglasses because you're going through a shady part and then you're going to the sun and this and that. These sunglasses are built to adapt to the changes of light so that you can just keep them where they are and not need to have to worry about taking them on, putting them off, whatever it might be. Definitely check out HYROX. You could also use code Jordan10 to save yourself some money as well. So thank you, Ree, for providing that code. And score yourself some great sunnies. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get into today's sponsor. Most activewear is made to look good standing still, but the Kova House is built for movement. Now, the Kova House is brand new Australian running brand. It is for chasing PBs. It is for training. It is for your first marathon. It is for your first 5K, your first 1K. Whatever it might be, the Kova House is for running. Your gear should move with you, not against you. So the Kova House is built by runners. It is tested by runners, meaning that all of the garments are tested so that runners like it, runners love it, and runners would want to wear it during their training, racing, whatever it might be. Every piece is designed with either lightweight fabrics, super stretchy, unrestricted movement, and just all day comfort in mind. So if you wanted to wear the things all day, you could. There are no distractions, no overcomplicated designs, just performance-driven apparel that actually feels good and looks good to wear too. So visit kova.house, KOVA.HAUS, and you can score yourself some great brand new running gear. They have recently launched. They have a new singlet and a new pair of shorts out currently, with a whole bunch of other things to come over the next 6 months. Thank you to the Kova House for sponsoring today's episode, and I definitely recommend this to anybody listening. Alrighty, well, welcome you two back to the show. It's exciting getting you both in at the same time, really. Yeah, this is quite cool.
I love it.
I was just thinking back, because I think you guys were on pretty much a year ago today. Yep. And I know you were talking about your last Ultraman, and you were actually talking about, I think, Worlds. I don't know if it was, coming up or whatever, but it's kind of come full circle, really, a year later. So this is quite cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. I think I was injured.
Right. Yes. You were. I think you were just coming out of injury.
Yeah. Because if it was before your ultra, then I was just coming back into running.
Yeah, and I know you were saying that you wanted to get back into HYROX a little bit more intently, and massive year, really.
Yeah. Been a phenomenal year.
Yes. Well, maybe update everybody. What have you been up to? I know you've had a big couple of weeks, really. So who started it? Who kind of had their event first?
I had my event first.
Yeah.
So, Ultraman in Nusa on Mother's Day weekend, May 10th. 3 days, swim and 1:45 of the bike on day one.
Hang on, you didn't say how long the swim was.
So 10K open water swim.
Okay.
On
Yeah,
the-
I mean, don't forget saying that because, like, hey,
That's
yeah,
a challenge in itself.
yeah.
And then day 2 was 270,
I think it's 275.
275K on
Yeah.
the bike with a bit of terrain. And then day 3 is a double marathon with about 780 meters of it in it as well. So yeah, not flat.
No. And I mean, not flat, but I mean, like, after doing 10K swim alone, like that I couldn't even fathom that. Like, after
No.
1K, I'm done, like, you know, but yeah, no, that's, I mean, I guess the name Ultraman really speaks for itself, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many, again, have you done? Because I know this wasn't your first.
Yeah, so I've done 2.
Yeah.
So 3 Ironmans, but you got to do an Ironman to qualify.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you've got to do an Ironman 12 months leading up to, and then write a letter of justification as to why you think you'd be able to finish. Got to do the Ironman, I think, under 12 and a half.
Yeah.
And it's more about protecting the athlete, about their investment and making sure that they're capable of finishing.
Right.
So the organisers don't want to just take on anyone and have people just dropping out. So we have quite a few internationals. I think this year there was about a third of the contingent was international.
I think there was about 9 or 10 of them.
Yeah, there was
That
there
were
was 7
international.
or 8 just from India alone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then we had New Zealanders. We had all
There was
over
the
the place.
first Malaysian
Yeah,
girl.
female from Malaysia. Yeah. So it's an international field. And then there's quite a few of us. I think there was a third of us that were repeat offenders, of course. So yeah, it was a real mix. 11th year that they've run it here in Australia. In the world, it's been going since the mid 1980s. But yeah, it's a pretty unique field in that they only take up to 50 applicants. This year, 42 applicants. I think 3 deferred, and then 2 didn't register on the week because they needed medicals, etc. And then 3 failed to finish, like DNFs, and then 2 participants. So there's 2 that didn't make cutoffs because there's a 12-hour cutoff each day as well. So,
But they still finish. So they still allow them to compete.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously they don't get a finisher's title at the end. Yeah.
yeah. So that's referred to as a participant. So they've done the work. They've it's just unfortunate, and hopefully they'll come back next year and yeah.
Well, that's quite cool though, because I didn't know that you had to qualify like with an Ironman and whatnot, and I guess it does make sense. Something that big, I guess you can't just sign up, you know, like oh, I'm gonna pay my fee and attempt this. Like that can be quite dangerous as well. Like you kind of have to have and I mean like Ironman's a big mammoth of a thing, but like compared to that too, I guess like you need to have some sort of like stage set, really, right? So that's quite cool, really. But I'm interested to chat about, because it was your idea, Nat, and that's why like it was quite cool having both of you on, because I know like to tackle something like that, you need your support system, and you need like there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on, really. So if you don't mind maybe breaking down into like the lead up of something like that, and then we'll get into like the actual event and how all of that worked and what the support looks like.
Yeah, so my lead up was probably a solid 8 months of training leading into it.
Yeah.
Most weeks were approaching the 20 hours mark, and the big weeks were 24-hour plus weeks. And to do that, you need a partner that is very tolerant of you spending a lot of time out by yourself. But also, there was a few SOS calls to Nat, where ruptured tires on bike rides. And
I saw a couple of stories. You stranded somewhere.
Yeah.
I was really happy that you were stranded.
So Nat obviously came out for those, and having a partner that just will put down whatever it needs and come was fantastic. But we did quite a few runs where I'll do like maybe 1, 2, 3 hour runs out self-supported, and then I'd meet Nat, do a changeover of fluids, restock up on the gels and stuff, and then keep on going. So even just coordinating those little things is a big break in her day. And so that's what you need in a partner coming into these things, or a support system.
Kind of worked really well though, because Sunday was actually my rest day. So a lot of the time I was just plodding at home. So if you needed me to meet you anywhere, it wasn't like I was doing something Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I wasn't doing my own training. I couldn't come and meet you. So it actually worked really well.
Yeah, there was a couple of Sunday was always my run day, and there was a couple of days that Nat would ride her bike, and so I could just hand stuff off, which is perfect training for Ultraman. So, because the actual race, you've got to be fully supported. So it's not like Ironman where you've got aid stations. So you must have at least 2 crew and a vehicle that follow you around the entire time. And in the swim, you actually have to have a paddler out with you. And so that's a safety thing as well. So you're allowed to stop, hang on to the board if you need to. You just can't move forward, and get nutrition on board, whatever, or just have a break. And so I had a young 15-year-old girl this time. She
She's
paddled
the
for me
same as
last
us,
year,
so, yeah.
and just fantastic. Like they get the nippers from the local surf club to help out most of the athletes. And that just eases the burden on most of the athletes, especially the internationals, and trying to find a paddler and equipment, etc. So.
And sorry, what does the swim look like? Is it like straight 10K or is it laps? What is that?
Yeah,
that's making me
V.
nervous, and I'm not even like,
Well, it used to be longer than
it's a V shape, and each leg of the V is 1K. So it's out and a back, do the V, out and a back, do the V, and then out and a back again. So it's all like you've actually got to swim out through the break to get to the start line. So it's not even a beach start like Ironman. And again, like as an Aussie, that was fine for us. But you've got some internationals that have never had to go out through a surf before. So
even as an Aussie, that's intimidating.
so and the paddlers, trying to get out through the break. Last year it was a bit more challenging. This year wasn't too bad. It was low tide, but just sometimes getting to the start line was a challenge. So.
But wasn't it 2 years ago it used to go up around
the heads? Yeah. So it used to be just a V shape where it was a short 1K out and back, and then a long out around the V, or around the heads and come back. But they got rid of that because with this V shape they can actually see from the shore using binoculars, and it just makes it a little bit easier for crews as well should something go wrong, especially with the sport, like the surf club support the event. So having the field more condensed is just a lot safer. So and then on the bike legs, the crew just basically do a leapfrog, and so they can't go up alongside and service you whilst moving. They've got to leapfrog you, and then it's just handoffs like Ironman. So bottle handoffs, and you do stop as an athlete to restock big time, or sunblock and change of gear, that sort of stuff. So,
What did that look like for you, Nat? Like, how did you guys plan? Because there was 2 of you supporting. So how did you guys plan, like, who was doing what, where your stops were, all of that kind of stuff?
So this man here is a machine. He actually had us pretty much sorted in terms of a map.
Cool. Okay.
And doing it last year, was really handy because there was a lot of points where I was like, oh, we couldn't stop there last year. Let's try and stop somewhere else. So it was actually handy, obviously, having that last year. So I drove the whole time, and then Sammy, our crew member, she ended up being your captain. She just took note of the map for me, and she was like, oh, there's a stop up here. And then we kind of stuck to it and kind of didn't. We learnt from last year that he needed more visuals of us. So we tried to leapfrog him a little bit more, which obviously the roads aren't shut off or anything like that. So that was, it was a bit difficult in some points, but it actually worked out really well. I think we just had a really good run.
Yeah, last year we were sort of, I don't need nutrition for an hour. So, leapfrog ahead and have the crew have a break. But that then made the bike feel very, very long. So, very quickly your nutrition might feel down. So therefore you're like, I need to just see my crew, or I just need something else or whatever. And so the very quick bunny hops just worked really, really well. So,
It also worked well for you because, you would know from, training on your own, you've got to be thinking about your nutrition intake and how much he was hitting. So, for Tones, for example, when he was out riding in training, he was probably only hitting about 75 to 80 grams on the bike purely because he was trying to get it in himself. Whereas when we were obviously watching him, Sammy was keeping track of what she was putting together, and we were piecing together what we should be giving him together. she would write it down in her notes and we'd be like, all right, cool, he's probably sitting about 10 grams lower than what he should be right now. Like, let's try and increase that. So then it took all the thinking away from Tones rather than him having to do all of that. So that was quite handy this time. I don't think we really had that last time.
No.
So this time it was sort of like take all the CNS thinking away from Tones and let him just ride, and we'll work it all out for him. And we would yell out, we'd be like, oh, you're at 105 grams. How you feeling? An hour, or, you know, you've dropped below 100 grams. We've got to get you back up. But in saying that, we didn't want to increase him, you know, like naturally he should be around 120 grams an hour. But because he was training at like 75 to, let's just say 85, we didn't want to increase him too much on the bike and then he'd have gut upset for the next day. So it was a lot of thinking. There was a lot of back and forth with Sammy and I in the car, which worked really well.
Yeah, because on the bike, the roads are pretty ordinary. Very similar to what we've got in our Adelaide Hills. A lot of vehicles still passing you. Like there's no closed roads at all. And so, add a little bit of moisture and damp roads and a few potholes, and to open up your food pouch and try and pull out your normal food is a struggle. So I just went with the one bar mounted bottle, and that was my fluids. And by seeing these guys regularly, I was able to just quickly change that bottle over all the time. So I didn't have to have multiple bottles on the bike as well. And I wasn't trying to reach into my food pouch all the time.
I guess that's where it sounds quite cool, like having that support. Like it sounds like a headache in the sense of, oh, there's multiple people to think of behind the scenes as well. But also like when it comes to, let's say, something like an Ironman, when it's just yourself too, and you have to think about all of these things, like that's just an extra tax that you don't want. And if you have a behemoth of an Ultraman, like you don't want to be thinking about, oh, what can go wrong, or like, you know, what am I gonna drink next, or what I'm gonna, or even like carrying multiple bottles and all that. Like you don't want excessive weight or anything like that.
So on Ironman, for example, you don't know the concentration of the fluids that you're going to be picking up, which is a big thing. And you know, the nutrition that they provide is generally, you know, one of the more popular brands, but it might not be what I'm used to training with. And so the benefit with Ultraman is I'm getting the right concentration every time. You know, it's exactly what I've been training with. You know, and so we were able to go as, like, you know, especially on the run, I push 120 grams an hour. You can't do that unless you've got your consistency and your, you know, the product that you're used to. So and as a result, I didn't have any gut issues for the 3 days. You know, my tolerance on gels, and we used Solo with caffeine and guarana. It all went down really well. Whereas the previous year, I really struggled, and that was what the 6-8 months of training really proved beneficial with.
He also added in sodium tablets as well, which was really handy. So like his coach was like, to Sammy and I, get him 2 tablets in tonight, 2 in the morning. And I think that really helped you as well.
Yeah, because I run high concentration of salt in my electrolyte. So I've never needed, or never thought that I've needed it. And coach is like, no, you got to do this. So I just do it, you know. So the crew, my coach, they did all the thinking for me. I just did what they said, ate what they said.
Did you do what I said all the time?
Just during the event.
Just during the event. The important part, I guess.
So, like, I'd finish the day, and like I'd be sitting on the massage table, and I'd get a burger shoved in my face. Like, eat this. I'm like, all right.
Here's your food.
I'm sitting there having a massage, eating a burger.
Take the thinking right out of it. So what about day 3? What did that look like?
Day 3, obviously quite tired by that stage, but the body was actually feeling pretty good, and we didn't have as well structured driving plan. It was just
we're a bit nervous, to be honest, because it was just Sammy and I. So like, and both Sammy and I, like, I mean, we were prepared to do it if we needed to, but like we just weren't probably up for 42K each. So, that was quite, like, we sort of went into planning mode the night before, and then I managed to convince your coach to come out and run with you, which was a godsend.
So Nat, so the first 5.5 or 5K you got to do by yourself because it's in town, it's busy, all the athletes are close together. Then by the time you get to the local school, everyone's spaced out enough that you can start to have your pacers with you. And so you got your pacer and then the car still doing the leapfrog. After a 7K with Nat, so about 12, I then ran about 5K by myself. And then from then on, I had someone for the rest of the day. So it worked out really well. I did
Tones
the first loop by myself. No.
No,
First-
Kate joined you for that.
Yeah.
She did both loops
Yeah,
with you.
so my coach was meant to meet me at the half marathon mark. But due to some logistics, she met us a little bit later. And it didn't work. It worked out well because Sammy was there
Ran with
and
you.
you were with me anyway.
Yeah, and he had Jess, my coach, run with him as well. I
Yeah.
think she ran about 9K with you or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, and I was like so jealous. I was like, you get to run with my coach before I do.
Yeah.
But it worked really well
Went really
because,
well,
yeah,
yeah.
you were on, like you said, you're on your own for probably about 5K after I got back in the car. Then Jess hunted you down. She
Yeah.
ran with you.
Yeah.
And then Sammy got out and ran with you.
Yeah.
And then Kate pretty much did a full 42K
She did
stint
over,
with you.
yeah.
Or over, yeah.
So the benefit of having a pacer with you is in this event, they are allowed to carry your fluids and nutrition and like, so they're not just a pacer, they're actually a full support person. And so I try and run without my bottle as much as possible. You know, the only thing I was really carrying was my phone, just so that way if the pacers didn't find me or whatever, they could contact me. So yeah, I'd have a swig and then hand off my bottle. And then by the time my coach then got to me, she implemented a run walk strategy, which I hadn't done ever in my training. She's like, nah, with the 3 days and where we're at, let's just try this. We just did that for the rest of the day. So, you know, it worked really, really well.
It was actually a really good plan, to be
Yeah.
honest, because like we were aiming for, what was it, an average of 650, I think it was,
Yeah,
or
I
645.
wanted sub 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you wanted sub 7, which you got that
Yeah.
in the end.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
yeah, she just knew what to do, which was awesome. She was a
Yeah.
godsend on that day.
Did it work like this last year? Like, did you have the same pacers and?
Oh, we had 3 in the support crew last year, and so I had I had pacers with me the whole time, but the nutrition planning and the nutrition gut tolerance wasn't there last year. Going to precision was fantastic this year, like no issues, no what's it called, that taste when you
You're sick of
nutrition
it.
fatigue.
Yeah.
That didn't kick in at all. Like I could handle gels all the way through the end. You know, and with the run walk strategy, the idea was that on every 1 kilometre interval, have a swig of gel, have a swig of fluids, and so that it wasn't like I was taking in big fluid hits at any one time. It was just constant throughout the day, and that was by far the best strategy.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Yeah, because I guess I didn't think of things like I guess if it is, you have to be fully supported. Yeah, I didn't think of if you're at a marathon, you'd have tables every 7K or something like that. So you know, you might carry 6 or 7 gels with you, but that's about it. Whereas, yeah, if you're not having that, then you need bottles and you need all of these gels. And if it's a double marathon, you need extra. So it makes sense to have a support.
Yeah.
But that's phenomenal that they're doing just as long, if not the run. But I guess you could rotate, can't you, if you wanted? Yeah.
So,
yeah.
early on there was rotation, and then whilst we had Kate, we were just going to keep using her.
That was perfect for
Yeah.
Sammy and I. We just were in the car, and also like because I had driven majority of it last year because I wasn't running fully last year. I kind of knew the track quite well,
So that made sense.
so that made it was really good. So when he went out and did like, there's a point where they go out to like the airport and back. That was just really handy because you kind of get a little bit like lost driving out that way for a bit. So that worked really well. And then Kate did the last big loop with you, and then she then disappeared. So she headed off. So then Sammy jumped in for a bit, and then I finished it off with you. So it was really cool. I feel like the logistics of day 3 worked out better than what I could have thought. So
I guess when it all just falls in place, sometimes that's what you want to really. What did it look like between like the rest periods between, let's say, day 1, day 2, day 2, day 3? Like what did that look like for you?
a lot better than last year.
Yeah.
Last year we were fixing tyres.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we had a few mechanical issues last year. But yeah, come in around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2, 3 in the afternoon, straight to the massage. Well, you got to go medical, get cleared, and then they just check your blood pressure and pulse and weight and make sure that you haven't lost too much weight. And then massage, it's a part of the package, so why not use that? Try and eat. We had the protein milkshake straight away, and then you're basically free to go and get home and shower, have a nap, whatever. Smash a pizza, and
What time did you guys start every day?
The swim start was 6 o'clock briefing, so 5:30. I think they were briefing the paddlers. 10 to 5 or 5 to 6 was the swimmers briefing, and then by the time we get into water, I think it was 6:15 start.
Yeah, you guys started about 6. Oh, it was about 6:19. You guys started, and then like day 2 and 3, it's a bit earlier.
Yeah, it's 5:30 briefing.
At 5 a.m. briefing
5 a.m.,
and 5:30 takeoff.
Yeah. So day 2, you start the bike in the bike speed order that you finish day 1. And it's under escort through town. And then once you get out past the township, then it's racing. So, and then day 3, obviously, because it's a run, you'll just start together and the fast guys just shoot off the front. And, and so, you just got to try and make sure you run your race.
But your recovery also involved an ice bath. So
Okay, all right,
Absolutely horrible.
The only time I'll approve ice baths is between events.
So it's unlike normal training where you try and not do inflammation control because you want the inflammation benefits. But for when you're doing multi-day events, you've got to control that inflammation, and ice baths are fantastic for that.
For sure. I guess that's one of the things too, like you have to, I guess, if you're not doing it during your training, things like that, but like the benefits of it like during, then you kind of have to, I guess, sprinkle it in here and there, really. When it comes to, I guess, let's say after like the weekend, where did things go from there?
So after the event finished, so it's a Monday run. So Monday night, you're just trying to recover, eat, sleep. Tuesday they do an awards. So you've got a catch up 10:30, I think it was luncheon.
10:30. It's like a brunch
luncheon,
lunch thing.
And then they do an awards ceremony where every athlete, regardless of finishing, gets 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. To thank and
No,
provide.
it's 3 minutes. They get a buzzer at 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing how quickly 3 minutes flies as well. Just to thank sponsors, thank everyone, and also what the organisers are looking for is those short stories of different things that might have happened that not everyone has seen. So we try and flick that into the speech as well.
Very much on your own. Like you don't actually realise, and it's really interesting because like from last year to this year, Tones was at the front a lot of this year. And so like part of me was like, I'm so glad I remember this course because there were points where we were literally the only vehicle up front. And I was like, we just have to make sure that we're going the right way because last year we could sort of like see other teams around us, whereas this year it was kind of like, especially on the bike, Tones was just an absolute machine. So that was quite interesting. And then like to hear other people's stories because you obviously don't see anyone, like last year we sort of got chit-chatting with different teams and crew, whereas this year we just didn't really see them. So to actually hear their stories and their speeches is pretty cool.
So I was day 1 on the bike. So finished 5th in the swim, passed 2 in transition.
I think you passed 3 in transition.
3 in transition. And then passed 1 not too far out of town, through town. And then come across Boris, who was the leader. He was coming out of the turnaround, mouth full of food. Like, hey, how you going, mate? And that's the other thing, because there's such few participants, you all know each other.
Right.
So, hey, Boris, how you going?
Boris has also done it last year and the year before. So Tones and him had known each other from like the last 2 events, which is really cool.
I thought he was in first, but you're just not sure. So, especially with such a long swim, you're like, am I there or whatever? So, so then when I did get past Boris, which wasn't too far down the road, in my head I'm like, okay, just hang on to this, etc. But like Nat said, we didn't then see any vehicles. I wasn't seeing any leapfrogs, and you're like,
we thought he knew he was in front, but then we also didn't want to tell him because we didn't want him to like cook himself for the next day. Like we didn't want him to be like, I'm in front, let's pick it up. So we didn't tell you purposely.
So, and this is where that mind game really comes into it, like, because there's another 2 days of racing. You don't want to just fatigue yourself.
Yeah.
But then, so finished day one, got to the finish line. I'm like, there was a couple of people in the massage, but no bikes. Right. And that's why I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. So the guys that were in massage were DNFs for different reasons. So, and then day two started in third spot and had a belter of a ride as well. Like, everything went our way, weather-wise. But then by the time we got 130, 140 Ks out, 180 Ks, the leapfrogging stopped. Didn't see any more support cars. Like, there was 2 guys in front of me, and person behind me, they were no longer, their car was no longer overtaking. So I knew that they were then a little bit further behind. So the last probably 70K was just us. Yeah. And so, it's you're like, we're racing here. And the locals don't really know the event either. It's surprising. So you've got all these cars around you, especially when you're coming back in through along the coast. Yeah. We're racing and they're just like having their great Sunday, So it's a very different race for that reason. So,
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, because I don't think we talked this detail last time too. So that was cool. Yeah. So
I think last year was very new. Like, I obviously wasn't here for the last podcast with you two, but last year was a very new experience. So like, you kind of just I don't know. I don't feel like we pulled apart last year until we were getting closer to this year. And then we kind of sat down and it was like, what worked for you in the car, what didn't, what worked with you out there, what didn't. And it was kind of like I really got to the point where we had to remove all the thinking pretty much for you, other than you just doing what you got to do. So, and I think that's where we aced it this time round.
Because the thinking of your nutrition when you're on the bike is time consuming and it does distract you. Whereas being able to just think, all right, look at your power output constantly and then monitor traffic and monitor the road. That's enough for the brain, So, and then especially that home straight, the last 30 Ks or thereabouts from the airport, it's busy with the traffic, and there's a lot of sections where the traffic's only at 40, and you might have there's a slight tailwind, and I think I was sitting 45, 47K for most of that section. Like, you're hooking along, and there's roundabouts, and there's slow sections with cafes, and you're just picking gaps in traffic. Like, to think that you've done 250K already, and that's what you need your level of alertness for, that's where the crew's so important, because if you've fatigued yourself up to that point, you just can't be aggressive at all in that last section. So,
and I guess there's nothing to compare it to as well. Like, something like this, like, you can't really even compare it to an Ironman, for example, because, it's not as big technically, an Ironman or whatever. And I would assume too, like, when it comes to planning something like this, like, when you plan for an Ironman or whatever, you could behind the scenes do some research, like look at videos or what other athletes are doing. But this, if there's only 50 people you're saying, it's probably not as well documented as like an Ironman, for example. So what did it look like your coach? You said you have a coach, like you probably would have to have a pretty specific coach for something like this, really.
So Kate Belivaquat, she's actually world champion, or she has been world champion in Ultraman. She's won outright as well as
she's
Ironman.
got the fastest women's time.
She's the fastest women's time. So the level of knowledge that she has, and that's again, like, she was checking in. Okay, what's your crew thinking here? What before the race, we're doing that. So we had a few one-on-one meetings prior to the race to make sure that everything was lined up. And having the previous race experience also helped out a huge amount. So, but most of the athletes competing do have a coach that have raced Ultraman at least. I'd previously, prior to doing it last year, I did approach a Ironman coach, and he, thank goodness, he said, "Look, mate, you need an Ultraman coach," and he actually gave me Kate's details. So. It's not luck of the draw. You've got to have the right person.
You got to have the right person. So, no, for sure. I guess, I mean, that's good that he was like, no, sorry, I can't, because I think nothing worse than having somebody like, oh, I've never done an Ultraman. I'll try and help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
especially for something that big, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congrats though. Like,
Thank you.
that's amazing. And like, again, I'm like, I find it interesting because I don't think we talked in this detail about it last
No.
time. So I even like had no clue really all about these little things that go on in Ultraman. Congrats on that. But I know you guys then were on a plane and, you know, on another adventure after that. So
Oh my
let's
God.
break that down. And where was the rest of the weeks like?
We are actually insane.
Yeah.
So presentations was Tuesday. We then packed up the car from the Airbnb Wednesday morning.
Wednesday night.
Well, yeah. So we had to vacate that to basically drive down to Brizzy, park in the international airport, and then we flew to South Korea.
Yep.
So-
We flew to Icheon for HYROX.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 13-hour flight.
Yep.
How did that go after an Ultraman?
It wasn't too bad, actually.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was really surprised.
I actually felt better going over than
Yeah.
what I did coming back
Yeah.
in terms of like how the body was feeling.
But even like Kate said, make sure you got your compression gear on. You know, and that's again the experience of a coach. So we were ready for the worst, and we didn't have it, so it was good.
Yeah.
And I guess too, like technically, the adrenaline lasts a couple of days as well, which has a big impact, I guess, as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you did recovery really well, to be fair. Like I just feel like we aced, like especially the recovery. Like if I think about last year, it wasn't how you did the ice bath on the last day. I think you didn't even do it in between, so that would have really helped. Massage, obviously coming back to the accommodation, like Sammy and I were really hot on him actually just being off of his feet rather than doing things. Whereas I reckon last year you were kind of plodding and doing things. So like that was something we learned from last year. It was like, no, just get off your feet, like sit down. So then, you know, come Tuesday, you're obviously sitting for a very long time. But then Wednesday, we actually went to the gym. That's like Sammy and I had a session that we needed to do. And he came along and he sat on the bike and just ticked, like really casually, just ticked his legs over. And that would have actually flushed quite a lot of it anyway. So by the time we were getting on a plane at midnight on Thursday morning at 12:15 in the morning, we were actually feeling quite fresh for the flight, to be fair.
So yeah, Icheon Thursday lunchtime we got in, just in the afternoon, and was flying to any sort of foreign country. You sort of try and find an Uber and get to the accommodation, and that was a bit of an experience because you got
Stress of all of that.
the language barrier.
Was it your first time there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not like we did Shanghai last year. So that whole unfamiliarity wasn't too bad.
They're actually very similar too. I felt like we actually did land in Shanghai. I was sort of like, oh, this all looks like feels familiar. But I think the one thing we did wrong this time that we learnt, because Shanghai, when we came in, we organised transfers, whereas this time we completely forgot to do that. So then it was like trying to figure out the taxi, which we eventually got there. But yeah, it was really cool. Like we Thursday lunch, like you said, we got in. Friday we had a day to kind of like suss the place out. Like myself and Tony Lee, because Tones was working. He was doing head judging with HYROX, and then the race was on Saturday for Tony Lee and I. So we kind of had a day to sort of like, you know, we did a bit of a shakeout run and whatnot. So just to flush the legs out, and then race day on Saturday.
Let's maybe get into that. So what does it look like? I think we talked a little bit about HYROX in the past, but for the listener right now listening, what exactly does it look like leading up to a HYROX and then like competition day, for example? Because I think you were saying earlier off air, it's a couple days of competition really. So what does it all look like really?
Yeah, so it depends on like how many events you've decided to book yourself in for. So this one specifically, we were just going over for Tony Lee and I for the pro women's doubles. So, you know, naturally we were only going to be hopefully at the venue for an hour.
Yeah,
That was kind of
okay.
the game plan. Well, probably 2 hours, and with the pre and post. But Tony Lee and I, we had raced once before in the Open in Brizzy, and we had met probably 5 minutes prior. That's how like little we knew about each other. But we went into Brizzy and we just had fun. And we were like, we could definitely race together. So then that's when we booked Icheon. And then, like the morning of, we do the exact same thing. We were both pretty like cool, calm and collected, just getting our like nutrition in. We both weren't, like we both said, we're both not, we don't get hyped up for it until we're actually at the venue. So like we literally were identical in how we got ourselves ready in the morning. And then we got there and it was just like, we both take about an hour to warm up. So we did like a full blown warm up before the race. And then, it just, I don't know, everything just went so smoothly for Icheon as well.
I think that sounds so cool though, because like that story's come up similarly in the past where like you'll have two interstate people or whatever compete together, but they're, training by themselves elsewhere and they're only meeting or whatever. Cause I think there's not really a sport out there like that really, where you can do something like that and, train. In SA or in Brisbane and then like go and race together. That's quite a cool thing, really. How did you two decide to work with one another?
So we're actually coached by the same person. So Jess Petro is our coach. And she had said for a little while that she thought that us two would make a really good pairing, and she wasn't wrong.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
But something I find really interesting in HYROX is like HYROX is very specific. Like obviously, you got your running and everybody is different at their running, but in terms of stations, we're all going to be different with our strengths and weaknesses. So I don't always feel like you need to be actually training with your partner all the time. Don't get me wrong, like obviously the transitions and things like that, you do need to practice, which we went over that, and that's pretty much what we focused on. If we were like prior to the race, that's what we practiced. But in terms of training, like Tony Lee is an absolute gun on farmers carry, lunges, things like that. And for me, I'm an ergs girl. So then for her, like in her training, she might focus more on the ergs, whereas I might focus more on the lunges and the farmers carry. So like you're not always doing the exact same thing, obviously based on your strengths and weaknesses. So even if we were living in the same state, we probably wouldn't have too many sessions together anyway. Maybe our Saturday HYROX conditioning session would be together. But other than that, it's very individual in that sense. But I just think like we worked really well. Like, we just went over obviously like transitions like the lunges and the wall balls and like how we were going to do it. Like if we're going to come in on the left and out on the right, like those little things is obviously probably where it would be ideal if you had somebody in the same state. But we worked that out really well.
I guess if like, if you know that you're going to mesh, that just takes a lot of the stress out of it too. Cause like, it sounds like there are technical aspects out of it, but like sometimes you just work with somebody, like you work well with somebody and then that stuff doesn't really come into play a whole lot. When it comes to the weekend, you were head judging, was it? Yeah. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so you rock up at the venue for there at 6:45 or a 7 a.m. start. We go through all our own briefings where we make sure that we're all clued into the event, expectations of standards, radio procedures, because we're on network of radios, just if we need to call in medicals. And then basically, we go to our stations and then we receive other judges. So head judges run the area, and so then we have a series of other judges that help us out with keeping the standards for the area. And we run through the procedures with them, and then we basically from first wave, I think, which was at 9 o'clock, we've just got athletes coming through till when we knock off at 3 o'clock. So
it's actually insane. A lot of the time we've been on the burpees together, and it's just like an influx of people just all at once, and you're like,
and it's because like we're depending on if it's solos or if it's doubles, etc. You might have a heap of doubles athletes coming through, and then there might be a pro men's solo start, and so you've got these two very different experiences and very speed differences of groups. So you're managing where the athletes are in the station so that you're not holding up the pro men's. But then you also want to make sure that the pro men's are being judged properly, because you know if people are gunning for a podium or for a high time, you want to make sure that they're bang on standard. Whereas for the other athletes that are there just having a great time and all that, we still want the standard to be upheld, but we're there more as a coaching, making sure like, look, yeah, you got to be doing this, and so it's like I said, you're still holding to the standard, but you're more as a call it a mentor or a trainer. So yeah, your brain's going the whole time, and then 3 o'clock change, and you're out of there, and so they're not easy shifts. They're long, and if you're on a sled station, for example, you're actually manual handling the sleds to get them back lined up, make sure the ropes are tight, that sort of thing, and keeping the stations clean and ready for the next wave. So yeah.
So what does, I guess, Nat, when it comes to training for something like this, when it comes to competing, what does a HYROX athlete need support-wise?
My bag. I guess in the lead up of things, it's like any sport. You just need a partner that understands that, you know, maybe sometimes you've had a hard day and you end up training at night, you know, and a lot of the time, I can be really bad for this. I hate going to the shops by myself. So sometimes I've trained all day and I'm like, we have no food for dinner. We've got to go shopping. So it's probably more so the fact that every now and again, I just might get a little bit taxed myself and might just need support in doing the little things that, you know, we all need help with. But there have been times it was really handy having him train for obviously Ultraman at the same time as me training.
That was going to be a question really, is what did that look like with both of you training at the same time?
We never saw each other. Nah, we did. We barely did, to be fair. And it was fine because we both, you know, we're both understanding because we both have the same mindset. Do you know what I mean? You know, he's got a goal. I mean, that was one of the things I fell in love with him when we first met, was how driven he was. I had no idea normal people did Ironman. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, not that I think Ironman is normal, but you know what I mean? I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I found that really fascinating. So for me, I love when he's committed to something and he's determined to do something, because that's motivating in itself for me. So for that, Saturday he'd be out for 8 to 9 hours on the bike, and then Sunday he was out for 5-6 hours running. Sunday was my rest day, which was awesome. It meant I could get things done around the house and get us prepped for the week. But Saturday was my big HYROX training day. So, you know, seeing him get motivated to go out on his bike, and it worked both ways. There were some times where he didn't feel like going out, but because I was getting ready to go do my training session, it kind of got him going. So we really did feed off of each other in terms of motivation sometimes. And motivation, as you know, isn't always there. It's really handy having
the Instagram boyfriend a few times as well. You know, so
you need that.
So, you know, but I think just to reiterate, because we were both doing quite taxing things, you know, we both wanted to get to bed early because we both wanted to get up and have a solid training day the next day, and we both wanted to eat right because, you know, we both wanted that fuel. And that understanding, I think, would be harder if you didn't have your partner also be an athlete. So, definitely part of it.
Yeah.
In a similar field too, because I think they're both different, but they're both same in the endurance space, right? I think too, it's a bit easier when you're both doing something like that, because you're saying, you know, it's taxing, yes, in a different way, but you know that you have to put in longer hours. Whereas I find if, you know, you might have an athlete in a different sport, let's say soccer or whatever, you know, you might go to training twice a week or whatever, but it's not as demanding really as time demanding as something like an Ultraman triathlon or, you know, HYROX or something like that. So I guess that makes it a bit more helpful really when they're both in the same field sometimes.
They're both multi-sport is probably the easiest way to describe them.
Yeah.
You're bang on there, yeah.
I did feel grateful though, the times where we jump on the bike together and mine was only an hour and his was 5. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad my hour's done.
Subtle differences, yeah.
You'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Nah, but we did well. Like, because half the time, you know, if it was raining outside, he would ride in the gym and I would have a ride or a run or whatever. And then I'd be back in the gym doing some form of weight. So we were kind of training together, but not training together, which I still find I don't always need to be doing what somebody else is doing around me. But if we're in the same vicinity, it's kind of motivating. So it worked really well.
Yeah. So when you're competing in HYROX, what does support look like when it comes from your teammates, when it comes from partners? What does that look like? What do you need during an event, would you say?
So you can't take anything from your crew, obviously, outside. So like when you're in it, you've got to keep your gels on you, which I have 2 gels with me. I don't need anything more than that. But in terms of like support, it's obviously like if you're feeling a bit crap towards the end of the race and you've got your partner on the sidelines yelling at you and cheering you on, that's definitely motivating. I always say, like, the stations go that quick. I can't see you, hear you most of the time. I need it on the runs because the runs, I mean, for me, and this is where every athlete's so different, the runs can sometimes be a little bit more taxing towards the back end depending on how hard we've gone in the front. So like if I've got somebody cheering me on the runs, then I feel a lot better. And I don't respond well to abuse. I respond better to like a little bit of like, come on, Natty, you got this type vibe. And Tones is just so good at that. And you know what, even just seeing his face is actually sometimes enough for me. You know, like if I'm running out of a station and he's there smiling with the camera, I'm like, yes, you filmed that. So
And you guys did an event together?
We did.
Was that planned or?
No.
Okay.
I've been putting it off as much as possible because training for Ultra, I'm not a fast runner as a result. And Nat would have just absolutely nailed me in terms of speed. So I
kept telling him to not worry about that.
Yeah,
I was happy to run at your pace.
Yeah, but we're both competitive athletes, so that wouldn't have worked.
Do you have to run together? Okay.
So, I on Friday when I was judging happened to look at my whoop and my recovery was bang on. Like my resting heart rate was back, my HRV was back up high. So I sent a screenshot to Nat.
And then Tony Lee and I went into planning mode. So we were like, how cool would it be if last minute Tones and I could race together? So then so these two called me over whilst I was still working. So I've come over to the sideline and like, how do you feel about doing a doubles tomorrow? I was like, you know what, why not? Like we're in a different country, you know, and we know it's not going to be about points, so it's not about anything. It's just about having fun. So, so after doing another 6:45 to 3 shift, 2.5 hours later, I was racing again. And so it was about 3 hours after the race with Tony Lee too. So we're both pretty tired, to be fair. But we just literally went out there for fun. And like to say, you know, like Tones and I have never done any form of like HYROXy training together. Like, you know, like we said, we did all of our training alone. So we were both sort of like, are we going to get a divorce after this? Are we going to last through this? But we raced so well together.
The communication just fell into place and like my legs luckily moved and we
moved. You ran with the kettlebells. I still can't believe that.
It just all came together and we were actually having fun and like the communication was awesome. Like we didn't really talk, like we just did and did like bag changes or whatever, kettlebell changes. And got to the finish line and we're both cooked, which meant we both did it right. So
it was good. It was good fun.
What were some highlights over this whole couple of weeks away? What do you think your 1, 2, 3 highlights are from these experiences?
For me, Ultraman, everything just fell into place and everything just worked. And so I think going back with the experience of it now being my second race, again, great coach, fantastic crew. The whole thing is a highlight. I think you got to watch these two as well with their Icheon race, winning it outright. That's definitely a highlight. To find a partner that's, you know, we can travel with and we all just had fun and we just you know, we'd find a place to eat, and it just all worked. Like, you know,
But we've also got the same goal. So I think that's what, like, something like we really learned from this year. Because like we made it into the Elite 15 doubles, myself with another partner. And yeah, like this is where we learn where you can compete with somebody and where you can't, like where you align and where you don't, which is so fun. Like that's just life. That's everything in life. So with Tony Lee, I just feel like, you know, racing with Tones was almost like racing with Tony Lee and vice versa. I mean, they're both called Tones. So I've got husband Tones and wifey Tones now. But yeah, so like that was a huge highlight for me to just find somebody I'm really like, I really gel with. We race really well. We communicate really well. We both have the same sort of mindset when it comes to race strategy. And we showed that like towards the end of the race, because of how far in front we were, we just sort of went, all right, we don't need to cook ourselves here. Let's just like take the back end really easily, but like, you know what I mean? We didn't absolutely smash ourselves in the back end to try and get a faster time. We were just like, let's get to the end. So like it was really nice to be on the same wavelength as someone. So that was probably a positive for me.
I think Icheon itself, South Korea, beautiful.
It sounds
Like we had a really good tourist experience there as well. You know, the restaurants like didn't have any bad meals. Like there was no concern as well about food safety. All the food was delicious. Like even as a staff during the HYROX, we got to go to lunch to the cafeteria, and that was great as well. Like, you know, so just just a good all round experience.
Oh, good. I think like too. I think like balance is a word that pops out a lot when it comes to endurance sport or multi-sport or whatever it might be, because I think too, like a lot of the times people feel like they need to sacrifice a whole lot when it comes to doing something like this. But it sounds like from all of this discussion that there wasn't a whole lot of sacrifice because, you know, you found a way to balance it all, really. What do you think are some strategies for people out there that are struggling when it comes to maybe working in a multi-sport into their life or a HYROX or whatever it might be?
For me, to get the hours of training, it's got to be part of my commute. You know, riding to and from work, running to and from work, those hours all add up. And so, you know, if you're not driving, if you're not just sitting in a car and you can, you know, ride, then use it. So it's surprising how many hours that actually is per week.
And you notice that, like, there was a point in, I think it was actually even 2 months before we actually left for Ultraman, Tones's workplace, they sent everyone home because they were doing renovations to the place and said to everyone, work from home. And you could see, you know, his 30 minute or 25 to 30 minute ride to and from work, you know, that's an hour's commute, an hour on the bike, went downhill because he wasn't commuting. And I was like, just go ride 15 minutes one way, 15 minutes the other, just to be like, I've arrived at work. But it's just not the same. So I think it's just being really like smart and technical with how you use your time, which I know is super hard. And I know there's like Tones and I are very lucky. We don't obviously have we don't have Julian full time. We have him, you know, 5 nights a fortnight, and then, you know, every second week in school holidays. So that probably helps. But he's also 15 now. So like we don't really feel like we need to be, you know, on his back all the time. But it's just choosing, you know, rather than sitting on the couch at night and watching Netflix, like setting yourself up for the next day and actually, you know, putting yourself to bed early so that you can get up and utilize that time. Like Tones was swimming 3 mornings a week at 5 a.m. in the morning and then riding straight to work. So we really did not really see much of each other, which was fine. And I think that's another level to it. If you've got somebody who is quite understanding of that, and like, I think I just look at it as this makes him happy, so it makes me happy, you know, like, and I obviously, maybe one day I might want to go do an ultra, don't quote me on that. And I know that he will support me in that level of training too, which he supports me in the level that I am now. But, you know, I think if you have full faith and love for your partner, you're obviously going to help them in any way, shape or form.
I think you've got to also have a well-structured week. That routine is key. And part of that as well is if you miss something because of whatever, that's it. It's gone.
Yeah.
Don't try and
Don't
make
try
it
and
up.
fit
Don't
it
try
in.
and refill it.
That's a
because
big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you try and do that, your back end of your week will be fully jammed up, and you will never get your recovery. And then you're starting,
Like
poorly
there's a
the next week.
reason you've missed something. Like, and it's something I've tried, I'm working at Rebel now and I have a few clients of my own. And I'm like, if you miss a day, you've missed it for a reason. Like your body is obviously under stress or like, work. Like our body doesn't understand what type of stress we are getting. It just understands stress. So that could be stress from work. That could be stress from training, vice versa, stress from having a kid. And if you get to a point where, you're training at 11 o'clock at night and then you're sacrificing your sleep, it's actually your sleep that you need to get more than what you do your training, and you're going to benefit from that more. So, I think that's a huge factor as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very important point, really, because, like you were saying, the body doesn't realize stress, really, like the different amounts of stress, really. And I think, too, like, sometimes, I mean, I've been guilty of this, you try and make up something, but then, like, again, the body doesn't realize at the end of the day, like by Sunday, if you're still doing that extra session, but the body isn't getting the rest, like it's just going to make the following week a bit more tough. And then it just snowballs week after week after week. And then that affects the long-term goal as well, I think, sometimes.
That's when the injuries and niggles start coming around as well.
Yeah, and I've learned from that too. Like, obviously, that's how I ended up with my stress fracture, like last year. So, like everyone's got to learn at their own time. So, we totally understand that. But I think that's a huge thing that I've noticed a lot.
But also, tell your friends what you're doing, because your friends will be your support crew. And if you suddenly go missing, and it's intentional, but they know what it's for, they'll support you and they'll like check in and they'll encourage you, like, how's your running going, whatever it is. So don't think you've got to do it alone. And you're not asking them to put out their time. It's just that they then understand what is important in your life.
No, I think that's a big one too, because I think a lot of the times people go wrong with just that, they go missing or whatever. And then I think too, then there's always the discussion, people don't get it, blah, blah, blah. But like you've never actually explained what you're doing to allow people to get it, know? So I think it's like a catch take sometimes as well in that regard.
100%.
When it comes to your guys' recovery, what does that look like?
Eat and sleep.
Eat, sleep, and water. Like this is actually a really interesting topic, and I love this topic so much. I actually want to do a post on it. But like I am huge on sleep. Like we've become quite huge on sleep. We had our whoops a couple of years ago and we got rid of them, and we noticed our sleep kind of went to poo. So then we got them back purely for that. Like sleep is like huge, nutrition naturally, and like trying to get water in, and especially coming into winter, is super hard. Like for me, if those three things are like perfectly in place, then I can use my sauna. That's kind of my reward system. It's like I can't use that if I'm not like acing everything else.
We're in a fancy world these days. Like, we have the saunas, we have all of these recovery centers these days as well popping up around Adelaide. But just like you were saying, like, I think then we forget about the water, the sleep, the things that you actually need at the end of the day. Like you can't catch up with all of these fancy saunas or whatever it might be a lot of the times.
And I think it's super hard. Like you said, it's all over social media now, and it's even in terms of getting like electrolytes in and things like that. It's just sort of hammering you to get it all in, and it's like we actually need to hammer in the sleep and the nutrition and all of that, because that's actually going to help you recover.
They're the big ticket items, not the 1%ers.
And you notice a difference. Like this morning exactly, like I normally Sundays try and get to the run house by, I think they start at 7:30, but I was like, no, I'm not going to make it. Like, I think I went to bed like an hour later or whatever, but I feel like that made a big difference staying in bed for that hour, still got the run out of the way this morning. And I know in the past, if I would have done that, then it's just like, then you're tired later on in the day, you're sore as well. Like, I think it makes a difference. And like, sometimes too, like you have to experience that to know what it feels like. But I think sleep is so important, and there's more studies coming out about the importance of sleep. So we know the effects longer term as well on sleep and the lack thereof sleep. So it's an interesting topic, I think.
There's also conjecture about training fatigued. So, you need to be able to understand how your body reacts to fatigue and how your body, how to recover during an event if you are fatigued. But when you're training fatigued, it's just, you're going to generate more issues than you are benefits. So,
Yeah, we figured that out after Brizzy for myself. Like, I mean, we figured that out a while ago, but I sort of got a really nice insight to that, because after Brizzy, I had done a little bit of like nerve, not nerve damage, but it was just my nerves weren't happy down my right leg. So I didn't run for 4 weeks. Like, I didn't run. I think I did an 8K and then the 27K and then I did Icheon and my pacing, like, didn't change, because I actually rested during that time. I got on the bike and I did all the ergs and things like that, but I had no impact obviously with the running. So then come Icheon, like, we obviously were playing around with how we were going to do the race, giving Tony Lee more of the back end, but we actually got to the end of the race and I was like, I'm actually feeling so good. I just think recovery is just so but I just don't think it gets the gold standard that it like truly needs.
There's a lot of this, again, like I think I find it quite interesting because, like, within the last year or so, there are all of these recovery centers opening up these days around Adelaide, and it's such a massive thing. Like, North America, where I'm from, there's always been that kind of stuff, really, and I always find it interesting when things start to come here in Australia. But I think too, like, again, we mentioned it just then, like, if you forget the fundamentals, then that extra stuff, I mean, you're paying so much money for it to just go down the drain, really, a lot of the times, because it's not cheap too.
No, it's not cheap.
Even like all of these supplements and everything, like, there's more reels or posts about electrolytes and all of this kind of stuff, but again, if you're not getting the basic stuff first, then it doesn't really matter about the extra stuff, really.
No,
but also your body doesn't need electrolytes. Like, I think electrolytes are used and abused.
Yes.
There is a purpose for them, and that is endurance racing. It's not for every day.
No.
But your body doesn't need it.
Well, you should be able to get all your electrolytes from, like, you'll get your sodium, no worries, in what you eat in a day. If you're really worried about missing something, it's kind of like magnesium. Take a magnesium tablet.
Have a banana.
Potassium, have a banana. Like, there's just so many other areas, like the sodium you're already hitting, but all these other electrolytes that we probably don't always get, you can actually increase that in other ways rather than taking electrolytes. And then if you're not drinking enough water, that electrolytes is actually doing you no justice for your heart rate.
Like, and really more harm, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them they have additions to them. I mean, I actually have been having neuropathy in my feet, and it was because of vitamin B toxicity.
Oh, wow.
And it was because the electrolyte powder that I'm drinking has a whole bunch of vitamin B in there that I just don't need, because I was getting it plenty from food my blood showed. So like, I think too, if you don't need something but you're seeing it because you think you need it, like maybe ask your get a blood or something done, really. No.
It's hard. It's so hard when social media throws it at you. Like, I get it. Like, we're swarmed by it all the time. It's all we see, and every now and again I've caught myself going, oh, I need that, and I'm like, no, I don't. No, I really don't. I don't need another pair of shoes.
But shoes, hey, that's different.
Me this morning, babe, I really need trail running shoes. Because we run once a week on the trails. But like, I totally get it. We're all human. But if there's something that we can kind of push out there a little bit, it's just, like, electrolytes aren't needed unless you're doing something like what Tones is doing. You actually don't need them. So,
during an event, it's different, I think. What is one thing that you two want to leave the audience with?
I think, segue from what we're just talking about, find someone who you can be a mentor or a coach, but not necessarily an online coach. There's so much experience out there. We are dominated by reels that are trying to sell something. I think like, I'm more than happy to share knowledge. Like, if someone reached out to me and go, like, I'm doing this ultra, Eurobilla ultra or whatever, I can point you towards a run coach. I can point you towards different nutrition, like, and a 15-minute conversation with me is, I quite like sharing knowledge, happy to share, just ask. So
Yeah.
And I think ask questions too. Like
Yeah.
there's plenty of, like you're saying, there's plenty of amazing coaches out there. And like,
Yeah.
I think you have to mesh well with somebody too, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's where doing your research is. And I don't know. I think like it's okay for my triathlon. I did work with a coach out in the Gold Coast and it worked. Like we still had that phone call every week and whatnot. Like we weren't face to face, but I think too, like you have to mesh well with the coach or with the person. So it's okay to, you know, have a feel for multiple coaches if you want before, you know, it doesn't need to be the one with 20,000 followers or whatever, you know, that everybody is working with.
They're probably the ones you don't want.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like you're not going to get any personability with that. Do you know what I mean? Like I've got Jess and I have become like really good friends. Like I would almost consider her like my best friend because we can chinwag about like my sessions, but we can also gas bag about everything else. So you kind of want to find somebody you really mesh with and somebody who you trust to obviously look after you. Like I trust Jess with everything, you know, like she obviously asks for my opinion on how I feel about the week and I just always put faith in her that she's looking after me. And if I'm not feeling something that day, I'll let her know. So yeah, I think it's just really find, you know, depending on what you want to do, HYROX, Ultraman, Ironman, whatever, running, just really find the right person for you. And yeah, our DMs are always open if you ever want to chat.
I think as well with coaches, just they can only coach you for what feedback you give them.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they've got an online platform, every session that you do, provide the remarks, the comments to that session, because then that'll support them. I go for weeks without talking to Kate. Like we don't actually talk that often. It's mostly through exchanges through the online platform. You know, so don't expect coaches to be, you know, the phone calls every week. They're really rare. But you're also paying for that service. So
exactly. And that's what I do, something similar. Like on my Strava, I'll put a note under every session because I know my coach, you know, will do the plan at the beginning of the month, looking at everything on Strava. So I think, if you've given that information, it's key really, because there's only so much that they can do with, you know, the little information that they have basically on Strava or wherever the platform it might be.
And if you're doing endurance, record every bit of nutrition that you have during every event.
Oh, that's a good,
I write down absolutely everything I've consumed for that session.
Okay.
Yeah, I do the same. And after HYROX, I actually write down what I've eaten, like the days leading in, the morning of, what I've consumed afterwards. So that I'm always sort of on top of what I'm doing, and then I can actually look back and be like, okay, that was a really good race. What did I do beforehand? And then I can see it rather than thinking, oh shit, what did I do beforehand? So we're huge on writing everything down.
I didn't think of, I should start doing, nutrition, that's a big one, I think, because nutrition is key, I think, thank you too for coming on, and thank you a year later. It's awesome to catch up, but also like I feel like this works good because I got more detail in both avenues, right? Like because I think last time we talked about similar things, but it's good to get a little bit more nicks and crannies really with the supports and all that, because those kind of things I think are missing a lot when we talk about events. We talk about the result, but we don't talk about what actually it took to get to the result really.
That's what I thought, like with Ultraman. I think for a few podcasts that we've listened to, it's been a lot about the athlete, but then it's like, how did the athlete get there? Obviously a lot of it is to do with them. Obviously they've got to have the mindset and the drive, but you don't get through Ultraman without your crew.
No.
So we did learn that.
100%.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you, Dolly.